Hi,
Hello.
it's absolutely surreal to be meeting you. It just feels like a dream come true
Oh,
because I have met some of your fellow cast members from Downton Abbey.
yeah.
I happen to be in London a lot, so I'm
All
very
right.
abreast of the theatre scene there. So I have been able
Yes.
to meet or run into some of the Downton Abbey actors, but it had always been on my wish list to just meet you or talk to you, and here I am.
Oh,
So.
oh. Well, I'm very pleased to meet you as well. Where are you normally? Where do you live?
I happen to be going back and forth between Lahore in Pakistan and London. So
Okay.
currently I'm in Pakistan in Lahore. And
Oh,
so that's where I'm connecting from. But the advantage of connecting from Lahore is that the time difference between us is not that huge. And we just
yeah.
yeah, a few hours apart. So
Yeah.
yeah.
And do you do business in London? Is that why you're there quite a bit?
Actually, no. I'm just so emotionally connected to
Uh,
that city, and I studied there.
Interesting. Yeah.
So
Oh,
when I
where?
studied
Where did you
there,
go to school?
yeah, I did my master's in law from there, from Queen Mary University of London.
All right.
So yeah, so that was a couple of years ago, and I think there's something about that city that once you spend some time there, you just can never get it out of your system. And so I
I
travel
love it.
very frequently there. Um,
Yeah.
and
And
yeah.
what part of London do you stay when you come?
Paddington is the most convenient for me because there's
Okay.
that Heathrow Express which connects you directly to Paddington. So I always stay there in a hotel or something. And
Yeah.
London to me means what it means to a lot of Downton characters as well whenever they visit London, which is the galleries and theatre. And that's why
Yes.
I mean that's my idea of entertainment. That I keep on hopping around the theatre in West End. And in fact, I saw you perform on stage in 2019 at Winton's Theatre,
Oh.
Starry Messenger, the play you did with Matthew Broderick.
Oh, yes, of course. Oh,
And
great.
I've just got to tell you that it was so fascinating. The kind of work that was done with respect to the set design and the mixture of a man going through what they would normally call middle age crisis, along with his
Mhm.
interest in astronomy. And I think that his family life, which brought you into the equation in the play,
Yeah.
it was all just so interesting that I was completely hooked and gripped by whatever I was seeing
Oh,
unfold
good.
on the stage.
Oh, I'm pleased. Well, thank you so much. That's really encouraging. Thank you. Do you see lots of theater every time you come?
Oh, I mean, in fact, Hugh Bonneville is going to be appearing in Shadowlands
Yes,
this spring,
yeah,
and I've
yeah.
booked my ticket
He's,
already, which means in a few weeks'
oh,
time I'm,
good.
I'm off to London again. And
Uh-huh.
interestingly, I've seen, I mean, some of the greatest acting legends on stage, but from among your fellow cast members, I've been lucky enough to see Dame Penelope Wilton twice, most recently
Uh-huh.
Baxter's Billy, and then I saw Laura Carmichael.
Yeah, I loved that.
Yeah,
That was
that
good,
was
wasn't
very
it?
good.
Yeah,
Yeah, and again, for
yeah.
somebody like me who has a very keen interest in the royal family, for me
Yes,
that's
why
quite
does
a
that not
treat.
surprise me?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then I got to see Laura Carmichael in Uncle Vanya a couple of years ago.
Oh, yeah, I saw that too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and now I wanted to talk about Downton Abbey with you because, of course,
Okay, go
it's
on.
fairly obvious with the Downton Abbey books I've got behind. And what I love about the
Yeah.
Downton series and movies is that whenever there's a series coming up or a movie, there's a book as well which accompanies it, written by Jessica Fenno.
Right.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
that's always a tradition for me that if the movie is coming out or a new season is coming out, I have to get the new book as well because I just love
Uh-huh.
reading the details of what really went behind the scenes. So, there's just so much to talk about Downton Abbey, but the one question which I've always wanted to ask you is what was the
Uh-huh.
most challenging scene for you to perform? Because here's my guess. I think it would be Lady Sybil's death scene because it just completely crushes me whenever I see it. And I think that's
Oh,
a masterclass in how to bring about emotion and such variety of emotions on screen, both from Jessica Brown Findlay as well as you. But yeah, what was your
mm.
toughest or most challenging scene to perform?
Uh, well, I think that is challenging in a certain way because you're trying to plug into a great emotional depth. In some ways, though, that's kind of why we live as actors, to do scenes or stories like that really make us dig deep. In some ways, I find it's more challenging to do the more on the surface stuff because it's hard to keep your interest
Yeah,
after
yeah,
all these years of just, when is tea being
right.
served and things like that. So I think, and sometimes when I would actually say that those scenes where we shoot around the dining room table are so laborious to shoot. I don't think most people realize that when we shoot that stuff around the table, how many times we have to do it over and over and over and over again because the camera has to move and shoot
Different
everybody
angles. Yeah.
individually. So just to keep up your energy, doing the scene literally 200 times in a day is I think the most challenging thing, and to make it seem like it's fresh and you're not really sick of
Or
it.
exhausted. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
I got to see Highclere Castle as well, which was around
Oh
2.5
yeah.
years. And as much as I might have seen it on television before, or on the big screen, when you just go there and you see the magnanimity of it, it just takes some time to
Yeah.
absorb. And I mean, I was left marveling at it. So I want to ask
Oh,
you that
good.
you have spent years, over a period of 15 years, you've done
Mhm.
Downton Abbey. Did it have this, that same impact on you every single time you would enter into those stately rooms? And just, was it something to marvel at for you throughout all these years?
I think that the first day I was back on every series, I would get a thrill going up that driveway, particularly that entrance for me was the most beautiful part. But like anything, after a while, it's like your house. It becomes so ordinary because you're there for so many hours. I mean, these TV shows, they take it, the days are so long. So I have to say I would get quite at the end of the season quite cavalier about the whole thing
Right.
because we just spent so much time hanging around. It's almost a shame.
But
I think if I took a big break from it and went back, I'd probably recapture that initial feeling I had. But right now, I've been in so many stately homes, even the sight of one makes me slightly queasy. I'm so like ready to sort of not be in a stately home.
right.
It's quite
You
quite
know,
funny.
one of the most interesting things is that to the viewers as well, to the ardent viewers of Downton Abbey, it also feels like home. And that's very strange because when I saw Highclere
Yes.
Castle in real, it felt like coming home, but also at the same time, I was just marveling at everything, at the architecture and going through those rooms and the gardens, and particularly the gardens. So it was like two very contradictory feelings that I was going through. It was, yeah,
Yeah.
it just seemed
Yeah.
something larger than life, but at the same time felt so much like home. And that's the magic of good television.
Yeah. I think that's right. And I think that's exactly probably the magic of Downton Abbey is that on one hand it's so larger than life, and then on the other hand it's all the details of these people just getting on with the very mundane, ordinary, day-to-day parts of living.
There's another aspect which I just think has not been talked about much at all. So I got to see
Hmm.
the latest film, the grand finale. Of course, it
Yeah,
just made me kind of sad that this is grand finale. But
you're right.
nonetheless, when I saw it, the last couple of minutes when Lady Mary is left alone and she is now going to
Yeah,
take on the charge of the house, and now is
yeah,
passing off the baton to her, and she's standing alone and she's imagining her past, and she can see everybody dancing around in the halls and in those rooms, and all her old memories come back to her. Even now as
mm,
I'm speaking, and I'm not lying, it's just giving me goosebumps mentioning that. Because when
no,
I saw that scene, I was so overwhelmed by emotions. As a viewer, it made me reflect on my own most precious memories in life. It was so
yes,
relatable.
yeah,
And Simon Curtis, I think that's the magic that he brings. He did something very similar in Woman in Gold as well, in which you had a cameo special appearance. There was a scene in Woman in Gold. In the end, Dame Helen Mirren, Maria Altman, she goes back to her house, in Austria, and
Yeah.
she reimagines her, family members. And again, when I
Yes.
saw that film in cinema, Woman in Gold, I was just left almost in tears, and I hate to admit that I ever cry, but I was left in tears almost. And the same impact,
Uh-huh.
the last couple of minutes of
Yeah.
Downton Abbey, the last film, had on me.
Oh. Well, I fortunately can walk into the next room and tell him you've said that. I think it will mean I think it will mean a lot to him because I happen to be married to
Yeah, of
him.
course.
So he will hear this and he will be
No, he really
thrilled.
needs to
And
know.
that was very much his idea that we follow Lady Mary through the house and we see the memories playing out in her head. That wasn't in Julian's original script, so he'll be particularly proud that
I
that
could
meant
tell,
something
when I was
to
watching the
you.
film, I could tell
I
that
will tell
that's
him.
more Simon Curtis than it's Julian Fellows.
Yeah,
But I mean,
yeah,
whatever
very good.
impact.
I've never heard people relating it to the Woman in Gold sequence. I don't think Simon has either, so that's interesting. Very
Yeah,
clever.
I mean, because
I'll tell him.
both the times, when these scenes had happened and I saw these movies, both the times I was almost left in tears. And even,
Yeah.
long after I'd walked out of the cinema hall, I would just be thinking of that particular moment. And the music is so good in both the scenes, in Woman in Gold as well, in that particular scene, and then,
Yeah.
in Downton Abbey,
Yeah.
I'm into that musical piece. I keep on playing it on repeat and on repeat and on repeat whenever I want to go into that zone. So,
Yeah.
but Simon needs to know that there's a fan in Pakistan for lots of years, even before I
Oh.
saw Downton Abbey, because my first acquaintance with this work was with Cranford, and that released before
Oh,
Downton
right.
Abbey.
Yeah.
And so before
Yeah.
Downton, my benchmark for what a good period drama is was Cranford.
Right. Okay.
So quite a fan
Oh, I will tell him.
of
Well,
his
thank
brand
you.
of filmmaking.
This is a real lift. Thank you. Are you a lawyer now?
Oh,
You said
yeah.
you went
So
to,
I'm lawyer by qualification, but then, the rules here are that
yeah.
if you are within the academic education sector, then you are not allowed to practice. So it means that now
Oh, right. So you
I
teach.
teach. So I teach a laws program
Yeah.
at university here in Lahore, which is affiliated actually with the University of London, where I studied from myself. So
Oh, I
that
see.
link keeps
Yeah.
continuing. So I spent most of the time
Yeah.
teaching or writing books. So that's what's been
Okay.
keeping me very busy these days.
About the law or about another subject
So
entirely?
non-fiction, but about politics in my own country as well as world politics.
Okay.
And
Oh, right.
what I find very interesting about Downton Abbey is also, and again, not many people talk about it, is apart from being a family drama and a historical period piece, it's also very political in a good way, but it is political. There is politics going on throughout. And what's very
Yeah.
refreshing for me as a viewer is that in Downton Abbey, they're not fighting against each other, they are not hating on each other, and they're somehow finding that middle ground, finding the
Yeah.
decent thing to do. And in today's extremely
Yeah.
toxic, divisive times, I just find it so refreshing how they could
I have to
ultimately,
say I agree with you.
sit on a dining table and find a common ground, their shared humanity.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you
Yeah.
think that's part of the charm?
It's I think it is, you know. I think maybe it just comes down to good manners. It was a thing that used to be something that people valued, and it is completely and utterly lost now. And it's a kind of a way of negotiating differences, isn't it? Because it's sort of a way of safeguarding the way you treat other people with a certain degree of respect, even if you disagree with them. And that has absolutely gone out the window. And you kind of think, how did that happen? What is it about our kind of cultural inheritance that made it okay for people to completely drop all of that? So interesting.
I mean, I so agree with that, and I think that's why people like me, at least, we want to go back to times, simpler times, when people could have,
Yes, I know. I agree.
right? So that's
Yeah.
the charm there. When I want to escape all the toxicity, and I wouldn't call Downton Abbey an escapist drama. It's not escapist. I think it does great disservice to call it. It's not escapist, but just as you said, it's a drive back into a world which was decent, where people could have very strong opinions, could hold on to the principles. I mean, Cousin Isabel, she does it all the time. Tom Branson, he does it all the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
But, there he is dining with somebody like Lord Grantham and Lady Grantham, who mutually respect these people and admire them and their
Yeah.
courage as well. And I remember, so my books, actually, I'll tell you a little bit about them. So my first book is called Paying the Price,
Yeah.
which,
Uh-huh.
that particular, those three words, they came to mind when I was thinking about, and they were the only words which came to mind when I was thinking about the title I would give to my first book, because I just saw and I considered that why is it that I find myself in certain confines which I want to get rid of. And it's because we're paying the price for people in positions of power who had made those laws and policies, and they'd sown those divisions which keep haunting us today. That's what came to my mind.
And can you give me a specific example of what you mean when you say those rules that are that you are personally paying the price
Paying the
for?
price for. So, because I happen to be in Pakistan, there are a lot of laws here which are extremely regressive, a lot of norms
Yeah.
here, due to which, not just me, I mean, the fear I live with is that I cannot speak openly about so many subjects because there's a price which will have to be
Yeah.
paid. And right now, the price I'm paying is silence. But then, there are many more people who are paying far greater price than I am. Because for a lot of people, something like Downton Abbey is a period drama. But for me, it's very much a contemporary drama because, the part of the world that I live in, Pakistan, the class system is very much alive. And I happen to be an upstairs person. I
Yeah.
belong to that strata of society. But it doesn't take away that element of empathy. And so I can see that
Right.
those who are less privileged, we have that whole upstairs downstairs system in our society. We do have extremely underpaid labor who are known as servants here, and they don't have any
Yeah.
rights. So I was just looking at these
Yeah.
people who do not share the same advantages as I. In Pakistan, particularly members of the transgender community, women who are
Yeah.
burdened by social norms, and they are very suffocating, and then particularly those whom we call servants. And so it's divided into these separate chapters dealing with each one of these. And I just thought that each one of them are paying the price for troubles, for complexities within the society which are not of their own making.
Yes.
That's where the unfairness stems from.
Yeah. And at what point in Pakistan's history did this regressive government take over?
If
How did that
if only I could turn
happen?
back the time, yeah. You know, that's very interesting. So we had a military dictator who came into power much before I was born. So that's where paying the price comes in. And he made certain laws and policies which discriminated against religious minorities, which I'm not in Pakistan, which discriminated against
Yeah.
women, which I'm not here in Pakistan.
Yeah.
And those particular laws have proven to be so disastrous. They haunt us to this very day. Now, reform is coming. People are speaking up. I'm speaking up. I'm
Yeah.
not afraid anymore.
Yeah.
I might have been 3 years ago.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
you know,
So it's slowly starting to
it's definitely
shift.
so. That's why Downton Abbey is again so relatable for me because they keep on saying throughout those series that times are changing, times are changing. Well, they are changing here in Pakistan.
Yeah.
They most definitely are. And what really worries me is that countries like Pakistan are gradually becoming more progressive. There are many more things that I can say here, but I'm seeing that in the free world, in those
It's going the
democracies, those
opposite
secular countries,
direction.
they're regressing.
I know. I mean, being American by birth, what I'm witnessing happen in that country is why I'm so interested in Pakistan's history, which I know absolutely nothing about. But I mean, nobody ever thought this was going to happen in the land of
I
the
mean, I could
free.
not have believed that. Be that
No,
Minneapolis, be that expansionism that we're
no.
seeing. Oh, that country belongs to us. We're going to take that country over. We're going to take the oil. So, my second book is called Age of Intolerance, which then moves from Pakistan to global politics.
Yes.
And so, in that particular book, I've tried to explore what's going on in the world. I mean, I look at my own country because I've seen a lot of it, but just make it make sense what's going on in the world. So, there's this very interesting link between law and politics as well, which makes me
Yes.
think the way that I do.
Yes. Yes. And so, what is that link? Can you articulate
Yeah,
that?
I believe that it's the socio-political landscape which shapes up attitudes, and those attitudes then get translated into laws, which become binding rules for
Yes.
us. And I also think that
Yes.
laws will only change, they will only become more progressive, less discriminatory, when we're going to change social attitudes. So
Yes.
that's the link, and you can't tell which comes first. It's typical chicken or the egg situation, but you definitely know that both of these, they go hand in hand. So affecting a change in one of these
Yes.
areas is definitely going to translate into change in the other area as well. Now the question is, what
Yeah.
kind of changes are we talking about? Progressive, or those which take us years and centuries back?
Right.
Yeah,
And first it happens culturally, and it's a sort of a cultural move that then it then becomes reflected in actual law, in which case it's sort of entrenched in formaldehyde because it's a law rather than an attitude. So, yeah, that's very
it's
interesting.
interesting, and I think that that's where the arts industry can play a huge role, and that's where you belong.
Well, that's right. I mean, I do like to think that because sometimes when I read the paper and it looks like the world is going to hell in a handbasket, I feel so in the job that I do, so helpless and but I do like to comfort myself by thinking culture does affect people,
Absolutely.
and these shows that people see and the plays they see,
I mean,
it does
it's
sort
power.
of
It is
permeate.
power, and it can be used for very good
Yeah.
causes. So what I mean to say is that Downton Abbey could mean so many different things to so many different people from different parts of the world,
Yeah.
because it's that shared
Yeah.
humanity which resonates a lot. So those people that are being depicted in the series are far removed geographically, as far as the time period goes, from somebody like me. But at the same time, there's something about them that their emotions, they resonate with me. I can see myself in so many of those
Yeah.
characters. And I think that the actors and the script writers who are producing this magic on our screens, what they have in their hands is power. It's absolute power. And for the good,
Mm.
for a very good cause.
Yeah. Oh, that makes me feel good. I like to think so. I hope so.
No, because it unites,
Um,
these days politics and even the
yeah.
law. Even the law. In my country, we have very regressive laws, goodness, and you can't even criticize them without facing some very grave
Right.
consequences. So that's why I'm saying that,
Right.
politics and law, they shouldn't have to, but in a lot of the cases, they do divide. But then, something like Downton Abbey or any good story which is character driven, you know, that's what
Mm.
unites people.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
That's
I
it.
love to hear
Yeah,
that.
that's why it
Yeah.
matters so much and it means so much to me, to not only be just watching something, but when I've gotten an opportunity like this to be speaking to you, I just want to meet those people who make that magic unfold on our screens.
Right.
Yeah,
Oh.
yeah, yeah.
Well, for me to hear this kind of feedback, I can't tell you because I don't. Um, I mean, sometimes it feels doing these shows, it feels such a slog because it's not like doing theater where you get an audience in and you see how things are hitting the audience and you get their reaction. It can be a real grind doing a TV show. As I say, the camera takes forever to shoot a scene and you don't, so for me to hear those words it really means a lot to me, and I'm not just saying that.
No, I do
It
understand, and that means a
it
lot to me.
absolutely does.
The fact that it means
Good.
a lot to you. So, finally, now that we've got
Good. It
very
does.
less time left, the last
Yeah,
thing
go
that I
on.
wanted to talk about was, so we've been told that this is the grand finale. I remember I was equally
Yeah.
sad 10 years ago or 11 years ago when the last series had aired. But, I mean, of course, that's for Julian Fellows and the whole production team. I have the sneaky feeling that something very interesting could happen, like a spin off on Downton Abbey. There's the Gilded Age going on, which young Cora's life on our screens. So, like, fingers
Yeah.
crossed. Do you have any views on that?
Okay. I've heard rumors to that
All right,
effect. I can't say that I know anything
all
particularly,
right.
but I think that conversation has been had, but I haven't heard anything
It's just
more.
that, people like me that don't want Downton ever to go out of their lives. And it will never go out because, I can still go back to BritBox and catch those. I could binge watch those
Right.
episodes and they're as good as new all over again. That's the charm of Downton Abbey. It never gets old, and that's the charm of Dame Maggie Smith. She keeps
Yeah.
living on. That's
Yeah.
the legacy she's left behind.
Yeah. 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 It's true.
All right, so it was great
It's
speaking with
wonderful.
you.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for these words, and it's wonderful to meet you. I'll be on the lookout for your books. I'd be
Oh,
interested
all
to
right.
check them
Thank
out.
you. Thank you.
So,
Great talking
thank
to
you
you.
very
Thank you.
much.